Morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, August 19th, 2025. This is the Select Board meeting. This meeting hearing of the Ayer Select Board will be held in person at the location provided on this notice. Members of the public are welcome to attend this in-person meeting. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation via Zoom is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting hearing will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with a particular interest in a specific item on this agenda should make plans for in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. This meeting will be live on Zoom and Channel 8. The public may access the proceedings by joining Zoom, meeting ID number 978-772-8220, or by calling 929-205-6099. For additional information about remote participation, please contact Carly Antonellis, Assistant Town Manager at atm@ayer.ma.us or 978-772-8220, extension 100, prior to the meeting. If I could ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Any amendments to the agenda?
I have none.
I have none.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that the board approve the agenda as presented.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair says aye. Agenda is approved. Any announcements tonight? No? Okay. Anyone here for public input that has anything to do with other than agenda items? Anyone? Oh, nobody's called in. Okay, going once, going twice.
We have 4 people that are
Yes.
at the Zoom.
Yep. If they turn their cameras on, then they'll show up on the thumbnail.
Yeah. Perfect.
Monitoring. Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. Aye.
Okay. So for those who are on Zoom, anyone here for public input?
I'm not sure. This is Cheryl Boise, and I'm on the board of directors of the Council on Aging.
Okay, so this would be for public input on anything other than agenda items.
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right then. Okay. Senior Center Building Committee project update. We can use these chairs too. You don't have to pull up chairs.
Good evening.
Hi. Thank you so much for having us back tonight. I just wanted to, in the presentation I put together for tonight,
Please move the microphone a little bit closer to
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
There you go. All right. So for the presentation for tonight, I know we were here last month, but I wanted to take just a moment as we're getting more public interest in the project to do a quick review and for the sake of the record there about the importance of a senior center. Nearly 25% of Ayer residents are 60 and older, and it is the fastest growing subsegment of the population. And in fact, in talking with some of the other senior centers, they were saying, well, why are you using 25%? Because if you were to look at the percentage of adults that are over the age of 60 in town, it's actually closer to 42%. So nearly half of the adults in town are over age 60. So that puts it in perspective as to why this is a priority for the town. Senior centers provide a vital community resource that helps seniors remain independent through things like fitness and exercise, low-cost meals, socially and intellectually stimulating events, and health education, screening, transportation, of course, access to benefits and services, counseling and assistance. Our current senior center, as many of you know, is inadequate. We cannot do all of the things that are needed to meet the needs of older adults. We can't accommodate wheelchairs and walkers it's not ADA compliant at all. We can't park more than 13 cars, so though we do have 2 rooms, we really cannot offer very many concurrent programs because there's just not enough space to park people. And for that reason, we can't offer the huge variety of programs and services that older adults need. And as I've mentioned before, there's a huge variety between what residents in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s need and want from a senior center. And so that ability to offer concurrent programming is so important. We also can't offer any privacy for the town nurse, for the AARP tax prep and Medicare counseling, nor can anyone have a private conversation with a staff member about things related to their life, things related to the operations of the senior center. It's just very difficult. And a new senior center would address all of those issues. And it's a benefit not just to older adults in town, but I think a benefit to the community as well. The space can be used, it would be primarily a senior center, the proposed building, but could be used after hours as a community space for boards, committees, community organizations. So I think there's a lot of additional benefits. One of the things we sort of touched on, and Janice, I know you had said that it was something you were less familiar with, so I wanted to make sure that I put forth all of the design-specific elements of the proposed senior center. It's not just a square box of a building. It is designed specifically for older adults and their needs across that span. So it's fall prevention and safety focused. There are no curbs in the entryway. The flooring and the subflooring is designed to prevent injuries if there's the case of a fall. The biggest example of that is the patio. It looks like brick, but it's actually rubber. When you walk on it, it has a little give to it. Far less likely to result in a bone break if someone were to fall on it. There's no step over equipment in the gym area. So I don't know, for anyone who rides a bike at the gym, you got to kind of throw a leg over that center console. None of this equipment will have those center consoles. They won't have big wide frames. They're designed with older adults and with fall prevention in mind. Same thing for the furniture. It's designed to be lightweight, easy to move, knowing that people have reduced flexibility in their wrists. They have reduced muscle tone overall, made out of fabrics that are easy to keep clean, easy to move, easy to stack, and in most cases will have 2 arms with which to assist people getting up and down with. It's also low mobility friendly. The hub and spoke layout, the idea that there are no long hallways, makes it easy and approachable for people of all levels of mobility. There's no long hallways to walk through. And the staircase is older adult friendly as well. It has a low rise. It's a 6-inch riser rather than a standard 7 or 8. Some people who live in historic houses even have like a 9-inch rise. It's very joint friendly. It's hearing impaired friendly. There's a hearing loop in the multi-purpose room, which allows anyone with a hearing aid to just turn a dial and to receive the sound coming from the speakers or any audio directly into their hearing aids. So you don't have to have big, loud, booming audio. It can be a personal experience for each person. There's noise-reducing ceiling designs on the first floor and sound-absorbing panels throughout to help block out that background noise that is so hard to differentiate as we get older, so that people can focus on the real conversations that are happening. It's also friendly to those that have low vision. The building was very purposely positioned on the site for natural light. There are 2 forms of lighting in each room to allow it to have the appropriate lighting for each of the tasks that are, each of the activities that are happening. And then the flooring is wayfinding. And what that means is that there's a pattern in the carpet, and it's done to allow someone who has low vision to see a contrast and allow them to proceed and know that they're headed in a straight line in a specific situation. Now, these things are not needed for every participant, but they're designed to allow everyone to participate. And the design itself is something we've worked on over the last 2 years, and wanted to make sure that everyone knew that it really truly is an evidence-based design. The Massachusetts Executive Office of Aging and Independence, they're the folks, they were Executive Office of Elder Affairs, they renamed themselves last year. They recommend 5 to 6 square feet per older adult for a senior center based on the census for the town. And for the 2,200 older adults that Ayer has today, that puts us in a range of 11,000 to 13,200 square feet. And our latest revision is right at 13,000 square feet. So we're in the range for that. But that for the 31, 35 older adults that Ayer's projected to have by 2030, that would put us in the 15,675 to 18,810 square feet. So it really is based on a known formula. More than a dozen towns in Massachusetts that we interviewed who had recently built senior centers told us that their buildings were already too small. And we specifically chose Catlin Architecture. He was one of, I believe, 5 or 6 architects who interviewed for the position. They all proposed 2-story senior centers, and Catlin is one of the most experienced in this sector, and he recommended building at or above this age guideline. And way back in 2018, before I came on board as the COA director, there was extensive public input done at that point where people were asked what it is that they wanted out of the building. There were more than 50 people in attendance, and everyone got Post-it notes and was allowed to put on them what they would like to see in the building. And then they went up and put them on the wall under the appropriate categories. And the features that they said that they wanted are what we designed for in this building. And last but not least, Ayer is wise in having selected a PhD trained gerontologist as their COA director. That is also the recommendation. I have no doubt that I will have no trouble filling this building if we choose to build it. So, after our last update with you guys in July, okay, so after our last update last month, the committee went back to the architect and the OPM and said, you know, for the second time, we've gone and heard it's too big and it's too expensive. So we need to make another round of cuts. And so they put their heads together and presented us with a set of changes to review. And the results of that you can see here in the chart. So there's a number of categories under which the changes were made, but to hit the highlights, we reduced the building size by another 700 square feet. We reduced a number of, that therefore reduced the percentage-based soft costs. We went to a different kind of on-site construction management for during the building phase with the OPM. That brought the price down substantially. There were also some additional clarifications we were able to make with what had already been spent in terms of special services and specialty services. And then we reduced the budgets in each of these categories. So that brings us down to a total project budget of $14,884,460, down from the 16.9 when you saw us last month. And the pie chart on the right just shows, you know, the largest area is the building construction, but that there is still substantial cost coming from the other sectors, project management, site work, owner's costs, architect fees, things like that. Next slide. Okay, so this breaks down that big multi-page spreadsheet that we all had trouble reading last time. So where we are right now with those changes in the management at the construction phase, as well as the reduced square footage, and counting on no money from CDBG from that grant, that brings us to a project total you'll see up in the top in blue of $14,884,000 for the project without any of the add alternates. With the generator and the partitions, it's 15.1 million, and with all of the add alternates, it's 15.4 million. So from that's the total cost, but from that, there are some things we can subtract. The things in the dark green are the grants that we have already received. We have $377,000 in grant funds that have been used to get us through feasibility study, schematic design, and doing some of the initial site work. And then the light green ones, if you take a look at those are the probable but not yet confirmed categories. Things like Representative Sina's earmark, informal discussion about UDAG and capital stabilization funds, which would of course be dependent upon select board and town meeting approval. And then in yellow are the things that are not quite as certain. For example, the Housing Choice Grant, which we will know sometime in October. We submitted a second round of that, and potential fundraising. So all of those things in mind bring us down to the town meeting ask. And the town meeting ask, the bond would be anywhere from 9 million, pretty much 9 million flat, to 9.6 million. And that is below the $10 million goal that I believe we were shooting for. So next slide. So to sum that up, last year around this time in August of 2024, when we had finished the feasibility study, we were looking at a building that was 14,450 square feet and 16.6 million, with the taxpayers covering all of that, which would be the taxpayer impact of $271 per household annually. Then we progressed on to the schematic design phase and the cost estimation that went along with that. This is what we presented to you in the middle here at our July meeting, which was reducing another 700 square feet. But due to some additional factors like adding a few categories into the budget that weren't there in the feasibility study, that brought us to 16.9 million. And but the taxpayer impact came down due to discussions that we had had about town resources that could be contributed to the project, to an average taxpayer impact of $181 per household. So we heard you at the last meeting, continued discussion about concerns about cost and size. And so, as I mentioned before, went back to the committee, the OPM, and the architect, and found 700 additional square feet that we could economize, and made the changes to the way the project will be supervised at the construction phase, and take a look at each of those additional categories in more detail to see where we could squeeze additional things out of them. And that brought us to, I put 15.0 in there. That's the price of the building with the generator and the partitions. And I left the taxpayer impact at $181 annually, because if we were to come in at 9 million, that would obviously be lower, but that required that the town would want to contribute the same amount in UDAG and capital stabilization, and that's just a conversation we hadn't had yet, so I didn't want to lower that prematurely. So that is where we are now, 13,000 square feet, just right at 15 million. And next slide. So next steps include seeking the support of the select board to move forward to a fall town meeting. The committee activating their public outreach plan. We have that outlined and ready to go if appropriate, and for September and October, and that includes 4 public input sessions, a townwide postcard, a revised new website, and let's see. And then cooperation with the Friends, for anything that they want to do related to public outreach as well. And then lastly, the committee would need to visit any and all relevant boards and committees, including FinCom, capital planning, and any others, to solidify funding and support for the project. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Questions?
Just more of a comment. Thank you for the presentation. It was a lot of new information, I felt helpful, and I think reducing the cost, you guys did a great job.
So going by the line items up here, so that would be 4.5 million total that you're looking for from UDAG and capital stabilization?
Yes, we updated that based on just sort of the informal conversation at our last select board meeting about whether that original 1 million and 2 million could be added to with an additional 500,000 from UDAG and 1 million from capital stabilization. Keeping in mind that the line items for CDBG are zero for, so if CDBG grants come in, that could be 1.3 million. If an earmark is able to be given by Senator Eldridge, then that could be up to 100,000. So I don't know the order of operations, but that could mean that less is bonded, or that could mean that less is committed from either one of those. That would be obviously up to you guys to decide how that would be maneuvered. But that's sort of the highest end situation.
And how confident are you on the 325,000 for the fundraising goal?
I think that remains to be seen. I think the group is getting started. They've raised around, I think, $2,000 so far, but they've only had one or two events. So I think they're just getting started. Obviously, there are no guarantees to that.
So first of all, I just want to make sure everybody knows that this board has always been for the senior center. But we also have a fiscal responsibility to the entire town, which is why we have these conversations. Since last meeting, I've heard from a couple people who are for the senior center, but are still very concerned about how much it's costing and how big it is. And one of the people was a little bit upset because they had been led to believe at the last meeting that the funding was all secured, and it's not. So right now, you have not met with Capital to get their support. You had a meeting months ago, but you never went back.
Correct. Yep.
And this board has never once discussed the UDAG, and as I mentioned last month, with the UDAG, we have a replenishment plan. So for the next decade, at least, there would be at least a minimum, I'm hoping, of $100,000 a year that would always have to get replenished into UDAG. Since the very first time you came to us, we have had members, I don't know what they've said to you, but they've certainly taken me out saying they want every single drop of free cash, every single drop of stabilization, every single drop of UDAG. We also have to make sure that we do not put ourselves into a situation that should an emergency arrive, we have nothing. And that's one of the things that we have to be cautious about. So we're doing our due diligence. In fact, I've even been told that this board, that they're very happy with this board because of the fact that we are doing our due diligence. So how are you going to meet with Capital and Finance in this short period of a time? I mean, Capital right now is not on a schedule to meet. That could change. I'm just saying that as of right this minute, Capital is not scheduled to meet for a couple of more months. So how do you go to have a public meeting to say, we're going to get this money out of Capital, which still has to be approved at town meeting?
Sure.
Okay? When you haven't met with Capital to get that support.
So when we met, it's a good question. When we met with Capital several months ago, there was discussion about those initial numbers, not the second ones that we just talked about at the last select board meeting. And there was support for that, for those numbers. So I don't think it would be the first time that either one of those committees is hearing anything about it. And we do have now, basically all of September in order to get a meeting on the books with both of them. Is it an immediate, is it a defined time frame? Yes. Is it an impossible time frame? No, not at all.
Well, I mean, you have members. See, here's the thing, and we keep trying to get this across is that the whole needs to approve this. And when I say the whole, I mean all the voters of the town.
Sure.
There's support for a senior center, but there is concerns about the cost. Now, you're saying what? I think, did you say 170, 180 is what the estimated right now
Yes.
impact?
Mhm.
Okay, but that's for the senior center, but we don't, what's the impact from Springtown meeting? So when you add what the impact of Springtown meeting and this,
Mhm.
that's when it starts getting a little concerning for the taxpayer. Okay? So we get kind of stuck on this, well, I'm on a fixed income. Well, technically everybody's pretty much on a fixed income. But his fixed income isn't my fixed income, which isn't your fixed income.
Mhm.
Okay? My fixed income could be I can't afford dinner except for except for once a month. His could be 5 times a month. See what I'm saying? So we can't just say a fixed income. You know, so that's what we're trying to do and that's why we've asked you to cut the cost. And I don't think it needs to be that big. There's a lot of us that don't think it needs to be that big. So basically right now you've got 13,000 square feet to serve 2,200 of 60 plus, which is my category, by the way. Okay, I fall into the senior category now. Just very upsetting. You know, there's 55 at AARP. There's 60 for the senior center. 65 or something for Social Security. It's quite maddening. But so I lost my point. Okay, so my point is that everybody has a different level, and we are trying to find the happy medium.
So
And we feel like we've been in a fight, and we don't feel like we're being heard. And you have to remember that we're hearing from people who might be saying that same thing, that they're not being heard. And that is a big concern that we bring to you.
So I would politely request then some additional guidance, because we have been at this for 2 years and we have now been to 2 meetings where you've said, I'm concerned it's too big, and we have said, well, how big is not too big, or how expensive is not too
I think
expensive?
we said 10,000 square feet.
I don't
but here's
recall
the
ever
thing.
hearing that, but if that's.
No, I think it's some public meeting, yeah. So, but here's the thing. When the thought of it going to Peroni Park, it was going to be slightly smaller and was going to have a
Wasn't.
community center. I said slightly.
It wasn't. It was much larger,
13,000 plus 10, 24,000.
24,000 square feet.
Road
And
Park was,
Okay,
the
all right.
study we did on West Main Street, 14,000. The first
But that
study.
was also going to have the community center.
no,
Way down on
On
West Main
Peroni
Street.
Park, it was going to have, I'm talking about Peroni Park. I'm not talking about West Main Street.
Even
Because
West Main
that ship sailed.
as
7 years ago.
as did Peroni Park. I think we
Okay,
should
but
try
no,
and.
I'm bringing it up as a point. That was going to have a community center. And there are some that are asking, why aren't we even talking about a community center? So
Wasn't the charge of this committee.
but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it was the charge, you can still have a conversation, right? I mean, this is what the people are some of the people are asking. That's what they've been asking me. So I'm asking you.
So I agree that, because I've heard, but also at the last meeting, you guys shared that you've had plenty of meetings with people that have voiced support for it. So I think that we've done our due diligence as a board. I think they've done what we've asked them to in cutting down the size, maybe not to the size that we feel. I think it's come to a point where it's time for the voters to decide.
And that's fine, except for one thing. Right now, the steps have not been done.
Well,
So unless the steps can be done by the time that we've got to call the ballot,
Yeah.
okay, we weren't going to be able to. So everything has to be done.
I agree.
So that when we go to say, this is when the election's going to be, because when we go to town meeting, we cannot say, I'm not disagreeing with you, let's make that clear. We've got to be able to say that they followed all the steps and that we didn't waive any steps.
No. I'm not suggesting we waive anything. I just believe that they have a plan that they've voiced on finishing those steps. meeting with finance, meeting with capital,
As
public
long as it can be
output.
done. You're the chair of capital.
Yes, I am. You know, I'm just looking at this. Again, we're looking at, so you have the 15,488, and you have the dark green. Those have been approved, right? So I'm just looking at worst case scenario. That's when my brain works. I'm always thinking, okay, what's the worst? It's going to be 15 million, right? Because none of these other things have been approved. It's probable, but not cash in hand, if you want to use that idiom. So when we talk about moving forward, those are the things that we're just, for me, and being the chair of capital, it's like, so all of these would be taken care of in the light green in the next 5 weeks, is what you're saying. Because otherwise, you know, we're at the 15 million. That's, I think, my sticking point at this point, that we have a lot of shoulds, we think, probable, and yeah, and if those all come through, then yeah, I mean, we're pretty close and we're doing well. I would like to see those, yes, done, approved.
So, you know, we would have word on the Housing Choice Grant sometime in October. So there would only be 3 days after town meeting that it could be after, right? It's highly likely.
Grants are kind of one of those that are up in the air sometimes because you never know
Right.
when they're going to come back.
Right. So, you know, the other things like CDBG, whether we wait till another town meeting or not, we will not know about the 1.3 million because we have to have shovel-ready plans and town meeting approval. So that grant will never come before town meeting, just due to the eligibility requirements of the grant. So we will not be able to fill that one in advance. The only ones that are in that yellow area that we would know would be Housing Choice, and again, I think we will know that before town meeting. And then, you know, the fundraising goal, most people's fundraising efforts pick up substantially after the building has been approved because it gives you really something far more tangible and an initial layer of support for the project with which to go out and approach people for donations. So I don't think, unfortunately, I see what you're saying, you know, because you want to make sure that you're getting all of the additional sources of funding that you can. I'm just not sure how many of those yellow ones that would come before any town meeting, not just this upcoming town meeting.
As long as it's presented that way. And I'm not saying you're not doing that, because, you know, I can see it right here. But as it goes forward, and if it goes to voters, that, you know, that needs to be explained very clearly that, you know, yeah, you're right. There's some things that you already have to have it approved to get that. But, you know, just assuring that, you know, everyone understands, you know, this structure.
Agreed. Yeah.
Well, I think we can put in the explanatory note for town meeting that, you know, grants are out of our control and we're just hoping that it'll come in when it comes in.
It's information.
So that we can put to, so that it's explained on the warrant, so that people know going in. Now, I think that Representative Sina, 50,000, he needs to bump that up. Just saying. Send him an email saying bump that up. No. Yes, Robert.
Madam Chair, through you for the public's benefit on a couple of quick points. So first, in terms of next steps, so everybody is on the same page as you mentioned, couple things. So as we all know, any capital project per the town's financial policies has to go through the capital planning process, which this project did start. And as the chair knows, we knew you would be coming back at some point. So the committee did not make a formal recommendation at that point because all of the work and so forth wasn't available. But as the chair said, and I know that the committee knows this, that you have to go to capital to get a recommendation from capital. The second thing, also per the town's financial policies, is the finance committee, because the finance committee, as a committee of town meeting, is charged as a sort of the eyes and ears of town meeting and the taxpayer on funding projects, and therefore the finance committee should review, and they have the authority, as we've all seen on warrants, to put their recommendation on the warrant and to speak at town meeting to that effect. So those are two definite boxes that need to be checked. The other one that I brought up, just so we're all on the same page, and I'm talking about the fall scenario, is that the select board has two functions. One is to put any of the warrant articles on the warrant, as they control the warrant, and secondly, to call a debt exclusion election. And the debt exclusion election is governed by state law. And the key piece here is the select board has to vote to approve the question and call the election and submit that in writing within 35 days of the election to the town clerk. So in speaking informally for planning purposes with the town clerk, just for the sake of discussion, ideally, if that election happened on, say, November the 4th, Tuesday, November 4th, the select board would have to vote and call that election by September 30th. So I bring up that information so everybody has the next steps and the timeline. The last thing, through the chair, on the borrow piece, because it came up in the order of operations. So in looking at this back in January and so forth, it was determined that looking at the town's borrowing capacity, which is the town's capacity to borrow for all projects, known and unknown, as well as the approximate average tax impact. Make a long story short, that's the 10 million number, or the 10 million goal as the taxpayer's piece. That came from there as the guidance, which, based on this presentation, you have met, or actually below on that piece.
Yeah.
The order of operations generally is that we would use generally speaking, we would use any grants and non-town money first. It makes sense, obviously, right? We want to minimize the impact to the taxpayer. Then secondly would be any town funding, which, and the chair is correct, the board has yet to discuss the UDAG piece, which is the purview of the select board, and the capital stabilization piece, which is the purview actually of town meeting. You would use those funding and then go to the borrow piece last. Now, the finance manager has said this publicly, and she would say this again, is our goal, she doesn't borrow all 10 million at once. Mm-hmm. It's important to note that she would borrow, as needed. So the town meeting ask, one of the boxes was to be no more than 10 million, which is the case. So that would be sort of the order of operations. So just wanted you to have that info.
So I know that we're talking about the drop dead date would be September 30th to announce the election, okay? Which is on a Tuesday, which normally I'm around. I am completely out of country that week. So what I'm going to recommend right now is that, and I'm willing to do this on any day, including a Friday, we can Zoom it in, that perhaps we can fine tune the date, but by September 26th, we have at a minimum a Zoom meeting for this board to declare, if all ducks are in a row, to declare the election.
So, Madam Chair, if I may, I'd appreciate that. So for September 26th to call the election, assuming that
everything's been met, everything's there.
Capital.
Is it September 26th, this board
Okay.
meet,
Yep.
Zoom, in person, however it works. September 26th happens to be a Friday.
Yep.
to call the election if everything it meets.
I would suggest if you could get a capital meeting and a FinCom before that, for sure. And then if you have a plan for your public outreach and things still haven't, you've at least had one or two, but you have more that coming in October, I don't think that will, if we know a schedule, if we have a plan, I would be okay with that.
Oh,
But
it's fair,
with-
yes, but as
but
far as the
FinCom
FinCom and
and
capital and
capital,
everything,
yeah.
that has to be completed.
Yeah.
And then September 26th gives everyone plenty of time to finish up any last minute things that might still need to be on the to-do list.
Yeah.
And this board can still be within, time frame to be able to call the election, which would be, if all goes well, Tuesday, November 4th.
So it's our responsibility to reach out to Capitol. Does it come from the,
Yes.
does
Yes.
it come from us, from the?
Yeah, I mean, I'll.
Or goes through you to them?
I'll
How do we
work
schedule?
with you, yes, the committee, so the chair of capital and the FinCom chair is here.
I know, but
Yeah, yes. So you need to meet with each of them individually, and I can help facilitate that.
And then the cost estimation has to be done well, I mean, that, but just kind of saying it out loud, all that has to be done prior to town meeting.
Yeah.
Because so the election would we have to call the election, well, no later than the 30th, but we're gonna do it on the 26th.
Correct.
Okay, which is only, 2 business days ahead. And then, the warrant is usually called on the October 3rd, Friday, October 3rd, right?
Yeah, is it the third this year? That Friday, the first Friday, we will talk about that later tonight, but yes, the warrant closes Friday, is it October 4th or 3rd?
Okay,
And then the select board at your meeting on October 7th finalize the warrant.
okay, I'll be around for that. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Okay, and then town meeting is on October 27th. Okay,
Correct.
so that gives you 2 months to do all your public inputs, forums and whatnot. Gives you a couple of weeks to get everything ready so that on September 26th, when this board meets, we can call that election.
Sounds good.
Sounds like a wonderful plan.
Good to me.
Do we have to make a vote for that, or are we good with just handing out the instructions?
You have issued the edict. So yes, we know what to do.
Out to the ether.
We know what to do. Madam Chair, if I could just real quick. So folks that may be listening, just understand. So it's a two-part process. So there's there's the town meeting, and there has to be the ballot. The town meeting, it looks like there's yet to be fully determined. There would be 2 warrant articles that voters would see on the warrant. The one would be if, and this has yet to be nailed down, but the capital stabilization portion has to be approved by a 2/3 vote of town meeting. So there'd be an article for that, and then there would be an article that would authorize the town to borrow up to $10 million for the senior center project, subject to an affirmative ballot election. And both of those are 2/3 articles. So at town meeting, the town would take those up and so forth. Then this election that would happen theoretically would happen on November 4th. Voters will be asked whether to approve or not the debt exclusion. And the question, you'd think it would be, the question would simply say, shall the town be authorized to borrow up to $10 million for the purposes of the senior center project? Yes or no? So just so people that may be listening that are familiar, that's sort of the process. And of course, at town meeting, there would be a presentation and discussion.
So, just so you know, I mean, that's gonna be the only item on the ballot. And how many voters show up to vote, that's how it is, but it would be great if you could get as many people to show up on November 4th, should all ducks in a row and that election happens, because we have historic low turnout when there's nothing exciting on the ballot. So let's see if we can also change that dynamic, okay?
So outreach on that.
All right.
All right.
Capital stabilization does not go to the ballot, just.
Any other questions?
Public,
Let me just check.
public input for this part.
Pauline's hand is up.
Oh, yes, Pauline, sorry, I didn't see your hand up.
No worries, I'm glad you all finished your discussion. I want to refocus a little bit on the overall cost. And I realize there are some unknowns, and I am not going to approach those. I had a conversation with a resident last week, and I didn't have the answers the person was asking. If I could tell you, I would remember. I can't remember who it was. But the primary question was, why does this need, emphasis on the word need, to be a two-story facility? And if it wasn't a two-story facility, wouldn't that save, the word was hundreds of thousands of dollars? And I thought immediately to the elevator that CPC provided to 18 Pond Street decades ago for a couple of $100,000. And I know that's a small dent, but why does this need to be two stories?
Go ahead.
Okay. So the idea behind a two-story senior center, and for anyone who watched the interviews that we did with all of the architects, they all offered this, is that once you are at a certain size, you don't want a large, sprawling building. What you want is for the most mobility impaired, the least mobile person, to be able to enjoy all of the aspects of the building. And that is done with what, like a visual of a hub and spokes, where you don't have long hallways like you do in a school building, where you can go in and you can put a visual on all of the different things that you could do. And you can see the elevator from the front door, you can go straight up. And again, when you go off the elevator, you can see all of the spaces that you would be in, so that it is not intimidating. You're not going to be exhausted and sweating by the time you arrive at your event. And so that makes it more inviting for the least mobile folks. As our OPM once said during committee meeting, your second floor is your most efficient space possible. It is your least expensive space possible, because you're going to put a roof over it, whether it's 1 stories or 2 stories. You're going to have the same foundation, whether it's 1 story or 2 story. If you had a big sprawling building with longer hallways, you would have more roofing expense, more foundation expense. And so this is the design that is most older adult friendly, and also most efficient from a building cost perspective.
Thank you for the explanation. Of the, I think you said approximately 50 seniors now use the building, and you're anticipating, of course, tripling that number, if I remember from some of the meetings I attended. Of that number, how many are mobility impaired? And it only takes one. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
I am not suggesting it shouldn't happen. I have had to use the elevator on a number of occasions at town hall, so I understand. And as I get older, I'm finding it's getting very hard to get in and out of my house because of the stairs. And anyone who knows I've got like 12 of them. But in the immediate future, is it not something that could be expanded later? Because I also remember for the meetings I attended, there's lots of expansion space in the acreage of that lot. So I'm just looking for ways to maybe minimize the cost now, and at a later date, 5 years from now, when it becomes more important, expansion can happen. That's how 18 Pond existed for decades. And I'm just suggesting there are ways to cut this budget a little bit to make it more palatable to those who might not be able to afford it. Thank you for letting me share that.
Okay.
Oh, we have a question.
I'd like to make a few comments in support of the senior center as a resident.
Huh?
I'm a resident,
Right.
so.
Come on up.
Come on up.
Come on up.
Hi. Hi. Please.
Either one.
Good.
Yeah, come sit
Yeah,
next to me.
Okay. Make sure she's got a microphone.
Hi, I'm Barbara Riley. I'm a resident at 62 Pond Street. No, 62 Pleasant Street, I'm okay. See, I'm gonna
Are
be
you
a good.
sure?
And I've lived there for 8 years, and I am a frequent user of the senior center and its services. Much more so in the last 3 or 4 years, as the programs have been greatly expanded, and I've been supported and able to participate in many more programs. I live at Pleasant Street, and we are an interesting population even on this issue. So I discuss with my housemates the whole concept of the center and the expense and so forth. We have good, honest conversations, and I'm one who's been updated by Katie, so I understand some of the finances and some of the issues that are being discussed. But I want to address really, and I guess one of my missions is to do as you're suggesting, help get voter turnout and explain why we are so invested in the project. You know, there's a growing senior population, clearly, and the population is brighter and more technologically advanced. And the program, the new center, as I understand it, would have more facilities, more classrooms, the availability of more space to participate, to share, to learn. You know, our intellectual sides need still to be developed, as well as physical exercise. One of the things that I do is I volunteer 1 day a week at the center, and I'm a receptionist. And I cannot tell you how many calls I get from people who will say, my dad or my mom is new to town, they're a senior, and they're in need of some support services. And I'm calling because I see that you're the COA or the senior center, and how do I go about signing them up for things? And the center with Katie and Mary Ellen's device is so well designed that even we as receptionists are able to direct people to Mary Ellen for certain programs, to Katie for certain programs, or I can explain about how the van service works. There's a lot of need. I myself enjoy wonderful meals, and there's not enough room for the social aspect of that. I go to almost all of my appointments on the van. I go to some of the cultural programs that are offered, and I enjoy the interaction, and I think there's a great need for more of that. So I'll continue to be a supporter and continue to do what I can to sort of spread that word, because I think that the senior center is really needed.
Well, I'm going to add a task to
Okay,
everyone,
please do.
okay? Because odds are you're going to have an election.
Because what?
Odds are this is going to go to the voters.
Good.
On November.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
Because I fully expect everyone to get moving and get this all taken care of.
Okay.
Everyone's goal from between now and the ballot vote, you got to tell 2 friends.
Got to do what now?
You got to tell 2 friends.
Okay.
And you got to tell them to tell 2 friends. And so on and so, come on. You all recognize what I'm saying.
Yeah. And I will add as an aside, many of my housemates have children who are tax-paying people who have owned property here in Ayer. And unlike some of us are not taxpayers or homeowners in that sense, okay? But the children of my housemates are. And they are great supporters of the center and in an expanded version of it. And they, as conversations that we have had and what I'm able to convey, are not at all dismayed by the expected expense on an individual basis to support the new center. So I think we need to, maybe I can rally
Well,
that
as
group.
I stated, people are concerned because
Yeah.
you never know what's in somebody's pocketbook.
Right,
But
exactly.
it's also when you add on everything from Springtown meeting that I got approved, the sum that we're talking about that could increase the tax rate is going to have an amount added to it.
Yes,
That's
okay.
when it can get into an uncomfortable conversation.
Okay, well,
Now, as far as, you have, relatives who have children and they're all supportive, you also have to reach out to the people who don't understand a senior center.
yes,
So if you tell 2 friends and they tell 2 friends, let's just do the best we can to get as many people at the ballot on November 4th that I anticipate will happen,
okay, great. I will take you at that
It
task.
would be nice to just, at least once in our lifetimes, to say, oh my God, look at the voter turnout we have.
Yeah,
Okay? So, oh, and I also just want to put a shout out, bingo. You all talked about bridge games there, bingo. Seriously, we need a good bingo game around here.
We have one.
Bingo.
I mean, we have bingo
We have
every
one at
Thursday.
the
I did
center.
not know that. All right, well, see, a lot of us didn't know about bingo.
Yeah,
So.
there is
just
bingo.
saying. Let's have a nice big bingo game.
Okay,
All right,
thank you.
okay. Yeah, all right. Anything else? Kurt? Yeah. And then
Like
Marge,
Marge
hold
is-
on. Yep, Kurt. I'm over here. Well, no, I was talking to somebody else and let them know that they're next. So Kurt, I have someone in line, so.
Kurt Friskowski, I'm speaking as the chairman of the Finance Committee, and I'm actually going to direct some of what I'm going to say to Chris as chairman of the Capital Planning Committee. So what I'm hearing is that we want to,
Right, they're gonna contact you to set up a meeting with the FinCom. They're
Right.
gonna contact him to set up a meeting with the Capitol. You all are gonna go do your thing and hopefully get an approval that'll come back to this board so that on September 26th, we're gonna vote to say, okay, we're moving to the ballot.
Okay.
Yep,
so I just want to take this, to keep things rolling, this opportunity to suggest, and Chris, if if you have any input, as far as doing presentations to the Finance Committee and Capital Planning Committee, to do something that's much more, to focus on the financial parts of it.
well, that's something you need to talk with them about,
Yeah.
not to him about.
Okay,
Because they would be presenting to you and then they would be presenting to him.
okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, so I'm just, again, using this opportunity, again, I'll follow up with Katie and stuff, is that I think we would, as a Finance Committee, want to see something.
Right, yeah.
Definitely dollars and cents and very clear so that the Finance Committee.
Right, and you would describe to them what they need to bring, yes.
Okay,
Okay,
just
Happy
want
to
to
do
just
that.
make sure that was out there.
okay, great. And then, Marge, I think you had your hand up?
Oh,
I thought she did. Maybe I'm wrong. Anybody else?
yeah. There's no, let me just double check, madam. Yeah, no, that she left, but there's no
Okay.
hands up on.
All right then. All right, everybody go to work.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right. Dan, come on down.
All right, good evening, Madam Chair and board members. So DPW business. So the first item I have is an award, and it's actually a contract for our FY26 sewer system rehabilitation project. And so this is our annual sewer lining that we do of our pipes and manholes. The locations we're doing are the downtown area here, Central Ave, Columbia Street, Main Street, portion of West Main, portion of West Street, portion of Park Streets. And these are kind of a precursor, get these done before the Main Street project comes along, which is in a few years. And that's in 25% design. I can give an update on that another time. The work will primarily be done at night because it's on the Main Street. We can't do it during the day. So the town engineer, Matt Hernan, put together bids, put together the design, and we do have the budget to do this. Our low bidder is Instituform Technologies, who's done work for us a few times. They're a good contractor. And the amount of the contract to execute with them is $886,680, and it's for signature by the board. If you have any more questions, let me know.
I'll make a motion that the board vote to execute the contract for the fiscal year 26 sewer system rehabilitation project in the amount of $886,680 for signature by the board.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye?
Aye.
And chair says aye.
Okay, great. On to the second item. Change order 1, this is for the Cambridge Street Water and Drainage Improvements Project. So as the project went on, we did our water shutdown to move everybody onto temporary water, and we found out that the post office was tied into a old water main, which was part of our shutdown. So they lost their water. So we had to transfer their service. It's on the town-owned side over to the new water main. There are two water mains in the street, unfortunately. So that's where this change order came about. And you can see the patch out in the road right out this window here where we did the work. So that's for the contractor CHB. The change order amount is $8,975. That's for signature by the chair. That one.
Fine.
All right, I'll make a motion that the board vote to approve the change order number 1 for the Cambridge Street Water and Drainage Improvements Project in the amount of $8,975 for signature by the chair.
All those in favor? Oh, sorry.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The chair says aye. All right, where am I?
Okay. The third item is, it's also related to the Cambridge Street Water and Drainage Project. So we do have cross-country utilities just north of Cambridge Street. I think it's in the area of Adams Street, a little bit east, number 46 Cambridge Street. And there's a sewer and a drainage culvert. There's an intermittent stream that comes down the hill there. And so we're doing work to relocate that drainage pipe, which is in poor condition, and to get it kind of out of the way of it was actually very close to the homeowner's house. So we worked, Matt Hernan, town engineer, again, worked with the homeowner on an easement for the property and with town council and an appraiser to put together the utility easement. So that the homeowner has signed off on granting an easement to the town in accordance with the appraisal, and we'll pay for the easement through the project budget. So it was another one of those cases, unfortunately, we didn't have an easement, even though we already had utilities in there. There's a sewer line and a drain line. So now we'll formally have an easement and be able to properly maintain our infrastructure. So that's vote to execute the easement for signature by the board.
Any questions?
No. I'll make a motion to execute the easement at 46 Cambridge Street for signature by the board.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair says aye. It's approved.
All right. And it's on the next page, Robert, on the agenda, if you want to put it. Whoops. There it is. So just a couple project updates I wanted to make the board aware of. One is the Stormwater Enterprise Fund implementation, and I've worked with Robert and Barbara on the latest here, but what's going on is the current water and sewer billing software we use is called CUSI, C-U-S-I, and we are incorporating stormwater billing into that. It just so happens at the same time we're bringing the stormwater billing in, an upgrade is due for CUSI. It's no longer going to be supported on Windows. So we budgeted for that in our FY26 budget during that process. So in early 2025, DPW, we met with CUSI to discuss adding stormwater. And so at the time, it made no sense to add it to the existing software, CBSW. There'd be an added cost to that and added staff time. And they said if we brought it in when we did our upgrade, it was free, and we're already moving all of our data into there. So we looked at that. So then we also looked at an option to incorporate into the town's other software, which is Munis. And there was a cost to that, and there'd be a lot of a learning curve too. So it still made the most sense to bring it into CUSI. One thing, we didn't realize is how intensive this upgrade would be. And so it's taking a little longer than expected. So at this time, the upgrade for CUSI, it'll be ready by October 1st, which is second quarter FY26. So at that time, we're going to start, the bills will include the stormwater billing. So unfortunately, we weren't quite ready at first quarter, but we'll add, so it'll be divided by 3 quarters for FY26, but starting in FY27, it would be on the quarterly bills, on a quarterly calculation. So I just want to make the board aware, because people are going to see their bills, and, well, some people who know about the stormwater will be like, where is it? Yeah. So I was also planning to post an informational under the DPW webpage to direct the residents and customers to, if they have, to tell them this is what's happening, this is why. So a hiccup in getting this up and going, but we're moving forward good now. And the other project update I wanted to give is the Grove Pond Water Treatment Plant, the Clear Well project, and the water supply. Nothing new there. The Clear Well project's on time and it's on schedule. Same thing. It's on schedule. We are continuing to get water from Devon's, about 100 gallons a minute. They're supplementing us, so it's really helping us stay afloat. That is being paid for by the project budget, so the Army grant. So it's been helpful. Not a lot there. There's no recommendations at all to change our water restrictions at this time. That was what I wanted to give updates on tonight.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Then get ready for that rate review, because that's starting back up again.
I was thinking that the other day.
Dream of it, don't you?
Yeah, right. Thank you. Okay.
All right. Okay, Robert.
All right, let me just move this. Sorry.
Tell Carly's not here because we don't have page numbers on our agenda.
Yes. That's what I'm.
I'm like, so, oh.
All right. All right, Madam Chair, members of the board, good evening. In terms of the administrative update, you have the warrants that were reviewed and approved since the board last met on July 23rd in the packet. As I transmitted to the board, the town's IT coordinator, Max Goodwin, is going to be leaving us on Wednesday to pursue his education. and wish him the best.
Sorry to lose him, but he's got a great reason. So.
Yes, he has and we wish him all the best. And he has served the town in many capacities, as the board knows, before that. So we wish him all the best. We'll be working to put together a plan for that department, and we'll keep the board updated. As I mentioned at the previous meeting, and again, a special thanks to Chief Gill, who was very helpful with this. We have a new IT support consultant. The other one was not working out. The one we have, World Band, based in Massachusetts, has been very responsive. So we're in good hands, but I'll have an update on IT very shortly for the board. Additionally, which we'll talk about in a minute, the implementation of the COIN Police Social Service program is underway. Again, special thanks to Chief Gill for hitting the ground running on that. We'll talk about the IMA in just a moment. When the board meets on September 2nd, we'll have a license agreement for your review and approval. For the Habitat for Humanity, we did resolve the power issue. The power issue does involve a placement of a pole on town property, which will require your approval for the license agreement, but we'll be happy to see that project come to conclusion. The 71 Sandy Pond Working Group is going to be getting back together. The working group needs to have a meeting or two to just review all of the work from the public charrette and the recommendations, and we'll keep the board updated on that. And the non-union compensation study that's being conducted by the Collins Center at UMass Lowell, I anticipate that to be done hopefully by the end of this week, and we'll update the board at one of your September meetings and share, of course, that report with you. So unless there's any personnel or administrative questions from the board, I'll just get right into the action items tonight. All right. I have one appointment. I'm respectfully recommending that the Select Board vote to appoint Rachel Friedlander, the Economic Development Director for the Town of Ayer, to the Devon's Jurisdictional Framework Committee to fill the vacancy created by the resignation of the previous Economic Development Director. So as the board will recall, we have 3 representatives on that committee, Selectman Livingston, who is also the Vice Chair, myself, and then the Economic Development Director was Alan. And now that Rachel's here, we're recommending that the board appoint her to the Framework Committee. And there are no established terms, so it would be just to fill the vacancy. And Rachel is, I see she is online if there's any questions.
Right there.
She's online.
I stand corrected.
I don't know who's online, but.
It's been a long day. There isn't Rachel online, but Rachel Friedlander is here.
I thought I was seeing things for a minute.
Okay.
Just 3D Zoom.
Okay.
Yes.
Just a quick question about the resolution
Yes.
committee. Is Rachel going to be appointed to that, or is that?
Yes, we're going to be talking about that tomorrow when we meet. Yes. Yep.
So we're appointing her to everything?
No, just to the
Just-
framework.
just the
tonight.
framework.
Yep.
Okay. She's not gonna need to be appointed to the resolution?
She will, but I've got to
We
talk
don't
to
want
her
to
about it.
overload. Okay.
Okay. So, I just wanna make sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It's an exciting committee, telling you. In for a treat.
I'll make a motion that the select board appoint Rachel Friedlander to the Devon's Jurisdictional Framework Committee.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And the chair enthusiastically says aye too. So, congratulations. We meet on September 8th, right here.
We'll have to wait a couple weeks to get her on my committee.
All right. The next item, number 3, respectfully recommending and requesting that the select board vote to open the special fall town meeting warrant for October 27th, 2025. And as you have in your packet, and just for the public's benefit, the deadline for all warrant articles and citizens petitions to the town clerk will be Friday, October 3rd at noon. The select board will meet at your meeting on October 7th to review and approve the warrant. And by Friday, October 10th, it will be officially and publicly posted and sent to print and mailed to all Ayer households. And the special fall town meeting will take place on October 27th, which is a Monday, at 7 p.m. at the high school.
Any more questions? No. I'll make a motion that the board open the special fall town meeting warrant for the October 27th, 2025 fall town meeting.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair says aye. Warrant is open.
All right. Thank you. The next item, through the chair, if there isn't objection, I'd ask the chief of police just to come to the table. In your packet, based on the last meeting, and we appreciate the board's support, to continue the COIN Police Social Services program, as discussed, we would be proposing an intermunicipal agreement of all of the member towns, which is required. In your packet is the intermunicipal agreement that has been reviewed by town council. Several select boards are in the process, as you're doing tonight, of approving said IMA. I know that the select board in the town of Westford has already approved it, and some of the other towns are all teeing up. The IMA basically sets forth the whole program. As mentioned, this is a grant-supported program. If the grant goes away, which we hope it doesn't, and it's a state grant, which is encouraging. If the grant were to go away, then the program would obviously would go away. It's a reimbursable grant. We're the lead on it. Actually, Chief Gill is. The 4 employees, 3 employees?
4.
The 4 employees, as we presented last time, will be employees of the town of Ayer under the chief. All of their costs are covered by the grant, including the retirement pension assessment, so we don't have that impact. And we're before you looking for a board vote to authorize the town manager to sign the agreement for the town.
Any questions?
No.
Doug did a great presentation last meeting. So appreciate it. Thank you. Then I'll make a motion to approve the COIN/Police Social Services intermunicipal agreement.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And the chair says aye. It's approved. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Just maybe
you.
to authorize the town manager to
Oh,
sign.
that's right. I'll make a motion that the town manager be authorized to sign the intermunicipal agreement as outlined.
Seconded.
Thank you both. Thank you all three.
Can we,
Thank
wait a
you.
minute, second, moved and
Okay.
seconded, all, hold on, all those in favor?
Aye.
The chair says aye. Now you can say thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Got
you.
dodgy there for a
Woo.
second.
People
Could have
online.
gone either way there for a
Yeah.
second there.
That was
So
iffy.
we appreciate the board's support. The next item, just briefly, in the interest of time, is to get the discussion started. As the board is aware, and this has worked, I think, well for the town as a budget tool and for the public. For several years now, we've established a Town of Air budget calendar that has all of the major budget-related dates and deadlines on it. Historically, by no later than your first meeting in October, we've had it approved, sometimes sooner. I did meet with the chair of the FinCom earlier today and sending it to the FinCom for him and his committee's review as well. Not looking for any, and there's obviously some information yet to be determined from some of the committees and so forth on here, but just wanted to get the discussion started again. Probably be looking at for the September 18th meeting, potentially for a board vote, or no later by the 1st in October. But I didn't know if there were any initial questions from the board, but just wanted to get this out to the board and to the FinCom to just start the discussion.
My only comment is the buy board is still in recess,
Oh, yes.
and it says meet monthly, so
Okay.
just
Good
change
catch.
that to say,
Yep.
as needed, or
And I'm just gonna point out that we are already declaring when the public hearing for the calendar year 2026 transfer station rates would be, and the rate review committee hasn't even met. So, I mean, it
Yeah.
probably would be that date, but I just don't think we should be putting those dates in there when the rate review committee hasn't even met. I think it should just be listed as November.
You can't do a hearing that day anyways if we're gonna have an election.
Oh, yeah, we're not meeting on November 4th if we're having an election.
See, this is why we do the draft and we start talking about
Yes.
it now. So
So-
noted. So yes, and I will. I think it would be more appropriate just to be determined in the month. Yeah, I'll fix that.
Yeah, so, I mean, worst case scenario, it can happen, we can have two public hearings on the November 18th.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but,
No,
yeah.
good, fair points. Yeah.
But that's a good thing. It's a reminder, if we end up having an election,
Yes.
we should, start looking at alternative dates
Yeah.
and get that keyed up.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
'cause that would have also been our
First meeting.
board meeting. Yeah.
Yes.
That would have
So-
been our regular board meeting night, yeah.
Flagged it, okay. Yeah, so as, we'll be putting this in the packet, we'll be updating it, revising it, we'll highlight in yellow any of the changes, and if you think of anything, or I know some of you are chairs of some of the other committees that are going to be meeting, that have yet to set their schedule, we'll populate it as we move forward. Okay, and the last item, apologies to the board, originally I didn't know with the first meeting being the day after Labor Day, if there were any vacation or quorum issues. There are not, so for the record, the select board is scheduled at this time to meet on September 2nd, which is the first Tuesday, September 18th, which is the third Tuesday, and per the chair, assuming certain required benchmarks are made, there may be a brief meeting on the 26th of September to call a potential election. So with that, unless there's any questions from the board, I appreciate your time this evening, and that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. All right. No new business or select board member questions were mentioned, but has anybody thought of anything?
Nope.
can't think of anything.
Okay, you look like you were about to say something first.
I just
One second
wanted
there.
to make you nervous.
Okay. Made you look. Okay. All right. So we've got 3 sets of meeting minutes. July 21st, 2025, which was our regular select board meeting. Then the July 23rd, 2025, was that the?
Oh, no, the 21st.
The 21st was the dog hearing.
Yeah.
The 23rd was the select board meeting.
Yeah.
And then the 28th of July was the
was the
dog
dog
hearing.
hearing.
Anybody
I didn't have any
Have any-
changes or.
No, I
issues
didn't.
with any of those?
No issues.
Can it be one motion?
Yes.
I'll make a motion that the board approve the meeting minutes from July 21st, 2025, July 23rd, 2025, and July 28th, 2025, as presented in the packet.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the chair says aye.
Ooh, Madam Chair,
Yes.
I make a motion that the board adjourn.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the chair says aye. We are adjourned. Good night, everyone.